You're a new coach and you're going to put together the best dang college football team in the nation. And you're not opposed to a little under-the-table dealings to get the players that you want. You've got cash to burn and you're ready to spend it in Envelopes of Cash, which was designed by Andy Schwarz and published by Envelopes of Cash LLC, who helped sponsor this video. Hi everybody, my name is Nick Murphy of the Brothers Murph and we are here with BoardGameGeek. Well, I'm ready for some shady back alley dealings, so let's get this game down to the table to learn how to play Envelopes of Cash. In Envelopes of Cash, players will be head coaches scouring the United States in search of the best recruits for their universities. You're trying to run the best college football program in the country, which is traditionally supposed to be amateur, but in reality it takes some greasing of palms and some undisclosed amount of money to change hands. And on that scandalous note, let's get into the setup. Place the main board in the middle of the table. The board is broken into different regions and the regions are broken into states. The regions are the Northeast, the Midwest, the Northwest, the Southwest, Texas, and the South. In between these are border states which are in both regions. For instance, the Nevada/Utah region is in both the North and Southwest regions. Separate and place the 24 state tokens by region. You will then place them in their corresponding spots in that region. Each border state has 2 tokens. These are denoted by the 2 different colors shown here. Place these in their respective regions. Under each state token, there is a space for a recruit. You will be able to recruit quarterbacks, offensive linemen, running backs, wide receivers, kickers, defensive linemen, defensive backs, and linebackers. Randomly place one recruit in the designated spot next to each state token. Sort the envelopes of cash by color, which is the same as the various regions, and place them next to the board. Take all the cards, shuffle them, and place them next to the board as well. Each player chooses a color and takes a player mat and calendar mat in their color. Place one of your markers on the scoring space at the top of the board here. The player's colors match one of the regions. Take your recruiting bus and place it in the square space of your color outside of the map. Take 12 level 1 envelopes of cash in your region and place one on each month on your calendar mat. Each player takes 7 booster bucks, which is the second above the table legal currency, and you'll take 6 cards. You will keep 4 of these cards and discard 2 face up next to the board. These 4 cards are your secret stash and you may use them later on in the game. If you are playing with the head coaches or recruiting boards, be sure to take them now. Head coaches will give you a special ongoing ability. Place your coach's whistle on the month of March and randomly choose a first player, and we're ready to begin. Envelopes of Cash is played over 12 months, starting in March and ending in February, which is National Signing Day. At the start of each round, the start player will deal themselves 3 cards and everyone else 2 cards from the deck. Starting with the start player, the players will draft a card. They may choose one of the cards in their hand, one of the cards in the face-up discard pile, or if they don't like any of the cards, they can play a card from their secret stash. Now, your secret stash is super useful to use when you don't like any of the options you have. But remember, you only have 4 cards in your stash, so you can do it at most 4 times a game. If you take any of these 3 options, you will discard the rest of your cards into the face-up discard pile and place the chosen card in the space above or below the space of the month you are in. If you don't like any of the cards and you don't want to use your secret stash, you may discard one of the cards in your hand and pass. Then once it becomes your turn to choose a card again, there may be some more options in the discard pile. Regardless, you must choose a card if you only have one in hand. Note that when you draft this card, it is yours, but it's not in play yet. You will have to pay for the card and put it in play a little bit later. After cards have been chosen, the starting player will roll the 6 region dice. Starting with the second round, once these dice are rolled, players will check to see if they won any bets in Vegas. If the color and pips match a marker they put on the Vegas board, they will gain 1 booster buck and 2 envelopes of cash in the matching color. Then all bets are taken off the board. We will talk about how you bet in Vegas a little bit later in the teach. Next, each player will choose 2 of the dice. Players are allowed to choose the same dice, so this may be done simultaneously. When a player chooses a die, they will gain envelopes of cash in that color equal to the amount of pips shown on the dice, in this case 3 blue envelopes. These will then be placed on the month equal to the amount of pips on the die. A 1 pip is the month of the current round, a 2 pip is the next month, a 3 pip is the next month after that, and so on. When the game enters that month, you will gain those envelopes of cash. If you would like that cash to go somewhere else, you may take half the amount rounded down and place it on whatever month you like. This is especially useful in the second half of the game. Once dice benefits have been gained, all players will gain any envelopes on the current month. And a quick note about currency in this game, booster bucks stay from round to round, but envelopes don't, so spend your envelopes in this round because they're going away. Now the first player will take their turn. On their turn, a player may take actions, and they may take the same action as many times as they'd like. The first action is putting a card into play. Players can take a card on their calendar, pay for it, and move it down onto their player mat. There are 3 different types of cards: culture cards, personnel and facilities, and fundraising. The cost of the card is in the top of the card and will always cost some amount of envelopes of cash. The player will turn in those envelopes and then move the card to an open slot on their player mat. They will then immediately score the amount of points shown here on the card. The cards will activate at different times throughout the game. This symbol means you can activate the card only once per round. This symbol here means it's an ongoing ability that is always active, and this symbol here means that it will activate at the end of the game and give you endgame scoring. The next action you can do is to use one of the cards that's already in play. Some cards, like Midwest Fundraising, will require you to spend something to activate that card. If you do not have the resources to pay, you cannot use that card this round. Sometimes though, you just don't have the right cash in hand, so the third action you can take is to trade envelopes of cash. To do this, you will pay 1 booster buck and then you can turn in 3 envelopes of any color and gain 1 envelope of a color of your choice. To recruit the best stars for your team, you will need to get around the country, so the next action you can take is to travel in your recruiting bus. In the first quarter of the game, you will get 3 free movement points. During the second quarter, you only get 2 free movement points, and in the third, you only get 1 free movement point. In the last quarter of the game, you get no free movement. There is a reminder of your free movement on your calendar map here. On top of the free movement, you may move your bus 1 space per envelope that you spend. The color of the envelope does not matter for moving the bus. You will move your bus along the various routes on the map, and 2 buses may be in the same spot. You may also move your bus onto the state tokens on the board and will need to if you want to recruit players. While on a state token, you may recruit the player that goes along with that token. To do so, you will pay envelopes of cash in the color of the region that they are in. For instance, this defensive lineman here costs 3 green envelopes. If you are recruiting a player in a border state, you will pay 2 of both colors. Though if you're in a border state, you are allowed to choose either one of the state tokens that are there, and if you can afford both, you may take both players. When you recruit a player, you will put them onto your player mat here and then roll the value modifier die. This will modify how many points that recruit will give you. Each recruit is worth the amount of points on their state token and then however many points get added from the roll of the die. Note that there is a -1 on this die, not all recruits work out. If you have a card in play that gives you extra points when recruiting a specific character, like this card that doubles the point value when signing a defensive lineman, you will apply this card's effect after you roll the value modifier die. Now, if you can't quite reach a recruit that you got your eye on, or you can't quite afford them this round, you can use an action to pay a runner to go grease some wheels for you. To do this, you will discard 1 booster buck and then place as many envelopes as you want next to that recruit token with one of your player markers on top of it. Then later on, when you go and get this recruit, you have already paid some of the envelopes and now only need to pay whatever is left. Though do be careful, because if someone else comes in and takes that recruit before you can go get them, all envelopes you paid are lost. If you've got extra booster bucks lying around, you can use an action to run a marketing campaign. Note that this is the only action you can do just once per round. To do this, you can spend an amount of booster bucks to gain points according to this table right here. So 1 booster buck will gain you 1 point, 3 will give you 2, 5 will give you 3, and so on. The last action you can take is placing a wager in Vegas. I told you we'd get back to it. If you have leftover envelopes, you can use them to place bets in Vegas. To do this, you will discard as many envelopes as you like and place out that many bets. For each envelope you discard, you will place one of your tokens on one of the spaces on the Vegas board. Note that you do not need to match your bet to the color of envelope you're discarding, and that more than one player can be on the same bet. Once you have taken all the actions you would like to take during your turn, you will declare that your turn is over. Any envelopes you have not spent are discarded, but you keep any booster bucks you have into the next round. Then the next player will take their turn. Once all players have taken their turn, it's the end of the month. The starting player token will move clockwise to the next player. If you're in May, August, or November, you will remove all the cards from the face-up discard pile and remove them from the game, and then you'll deal a single new card face-up to the discard pool. If you're playing a 4-player game in November, you will most likely need to shuffle the deck, so you can do that now. All players will advance their coach's whistle to the next month, and the next month will begin. If the new month is in September or later, you will also remove from the game any unplayed cards on the players' calendars from 5 months earlier, and you will place the new card you draft this round into this spot. Play will continue round after round until it's National Signing Day in February, and then after that month, the game will end. Once the month of February is over, players will score. They will score any of their endgame scoring cards that are on their player mat. Some of these will just straight up give you points, whereas others will give you points based on a number of different conditions. All players may also run one final marketing campaign with any leftover booster bucks they have, scoring the points in the normal way. Now players will score for their positional scoring. Players will count up how many unique positions of players they recruited, and you'll get points equal to the corresponding value on the position scoring table here. So if you recruited 6 different player positions, you will score 18 points. The last bit of scoring is regional scoring. You will find the region of the country from which you recruited the most players, and you will score points based on that. Note that border states can be used as either region for region scoring. For example, if you recruited 5 players from the south, you will score 7 points. Remember though that you only get to score your best region, not all of them. Players will count up their scores, and the coach with the most points will win. If players are tied, the player with the most leftover booster bucks wins. If there's still a tie, the player who recruited the most unique positions wins. Envelopes of Cash is all about trading money quickly and discreetly, but it's also about setting yourself up for the future. When you draft dice and gain envelopes, they usually go to a month down the line. Do you take less money and get the cash now, or do you set yourself up for a monster month a little bit later? And if Envelopes of Cash seems like a game you'd like to check out, make sure to check out its page on BoardGameGeek to learn more. And until next time, I'm Nick Murphy. We're here with BoardGameGeek, and that is how you play Envelopes of Cash. Have a great day.